No Film School's coverage is brought to you by Blackmagic Design, amazing solutions for film, post-production, and television.
We're talking with Nanfu Wang about her film Hooligan Sparrow, which is this pretty incredible expedition into human rights situation in China. I find it a very bold film, very brave film. I think that's kind of the consensus. I just wanted to ask about, how did you talk yourself into getting into the situation? Or were you aware of what you were getting into when you started this project?
Well, when I started, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. If I knew, I don't know if I would still be brave enough to do it.
Right.
So I started with an idea of making a sex workers film,
right.
And it turned out the subject, she wasn't doing any sex workers advocacy at the time. She was going to a protest, and then I decided to follow. And I remember that night when her name is Hooligan Sparrow, with a bunch of other activists who were talking about going to the protest and the risks they might face. They were saying they could be arrested or, disappear just after the protest. So they asked me, can you help me film a video, which is like, we will say on camera, I'm not gonna commit suicide, because in China, oftentimes when the protesters disappeared, the authority would say, this person committed suicide, and then there's a dead body. Yeah, so they were like, can you film us saying that tomorrow we're going to the protest. If anything happened to us, it's not an accident. I won't commit suicide, I'm healthy and I love life.
Some of the most visceral moments of the film are when the camera is just out of focus and you're running away from police, or you're running away from undercover cops who are chasing you and stalking you. How did you deal with the stress of constantly being under watch and constantly being monitored by people that could roll on you at any moment?
At night, I would do video diary myself. Like I would set a camera and talk to the camera myself, and sometimes cry, and just like, this is what happened today. I witnessed two activists being bitten, and I didn't get it on camera. And because I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody else, any ways of communication could be monitored, and I wouldn't talk this on the phone with friends or family or anybody, and that's the only way to deal with the stress and to sort of to gain the energy to go on the next day.
How did you approach shooting this film? You just had very, very minimal equipment and means. How much did you plan that out, and how did that end up helping your film or hurting your film?
I didn't have money to buy expensive equipment, so all I had is a Canon DSLR 60D, which wouldn't even allow you to monitor the sound because it doesn't have the audio meter and everything. So I went to China and I used that camera, but it turned out to work great because the circumstances wouldn't allow me to use a large camera anyway.
Right.
So that worked out perfectly.